economic angle of this, if you can stand the heat as an American right now, maybe this is the good time to travel abroad. Big story here over the last few days with the euro hitting parity with the dollar. First time we've seen it in 20 years. And we have Michelle Schneider and Carol Roth back with us right now. So I don't know, Carol, could you... I mean, you'd expect if you went to Spain or France, parts of France this time of year for it to be hot. But I don't know if the currency exchange rate is enough for you to stand that heat in London, because as Ryan says, they're not ready for it. But it's kind of interesting to see parity.
Yeah, there's never really a wrong time to have pasta and gelato and Milano or Firenze. So maybe we should all book a trip out there. The parity is very interesting and obviously may seem like a good reason to want to go ahead and book a trip to Europe. But I'm a little bit more conservative. Obviously, there is still inflation to contend with, even if you have that good exchange rate. The melting of the runways in the UK notwithstanding, there are also broad airline issues. You don't want to find yourself stranded in Europe. And obviously they're having an energy crisis. There's an unrest that's happening around them from food shortages that could bleed over. So I think I'm going to have my pasta and gelato at a small business here in America instead of booking my trip.
Well, that's the thing, right, Michelle? Because you do, I mean, obviously exchange rates is something we would all look at before we travel. But Carol just makes an interesting point. You get over there, get the rental car, it's going to cost a ton to fill it up. I mean, the cost of everything else, even if the exchange rates are similar, is up, right? Is it a good time to go or no?
Well, I think that, we talked about it possibly going because of the exchange rate, but all of the issues that Carol just pointed out has really prevented us from going. We're going to Hawaii, where it's also hot, not quite as hot, but at least it's still in the USA, and we can have gelato there. But yeah, I mean, just looking at the dollar, I mean, let's face it, we're still the world's reserve currency. Goods are basically priced in dollars. And the way that the DXY, the futures trade, is in pairs with global currencies, and the heaviest weighted is the dollar to the euro, and that's why the dollar has gotten so much stronger, A, as a flight to safety, and B, because of all of the recessionary issues that Europe have had. So that could flip at any point. Obviously, we wonder how much the dollar is being manipulated higher while, let's say, gold prices a la Bretton Woods are being forced lower, and when that switches. But for right now, yeah, we should enjoy the strong dollar here in the United States and probably hold off on going to Europe right now.
All right, fair enough. Let me get to this other story, Carol and Michelle. We talked a moment ago about Apple. It just came out. It was a Bloomberg News report that Apple might slow down its hiring. And, if the economy's slowing and we're heading into recession, you would think, Carol, we will see more announcements like this. Or maybe it's just an industry-specific story, because the types of announcements, at least in the job market that we've seen, have mostly come from tech. What do you make of Apple slowing down its hiring and its spending, it says, for some teams next year?
Yeah, you heard the realignment out of Microsoft. Now we're hearing Apple. I don't know, Connell. I look at the back half of the year. I look at what analysts are projecting. I think it's something like 11% increase in earnings in the third quarter and over 10 in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. And it just seems decoupled from what we're seeing in the rest of the economy. So I'm expecting that we're going to hear more of these, and perhaps some of these big names being willing to come out and say this gives people cover. Because frankly, the market's not going to give you credit anyway if you go out and raise rates, so it makes more sense to be conservative anyway.
Stock price-wise, Apple, as you see this year, is down 16%. Today, it was up, but now it's down. Speaking of which, so's the Dow, down 5 points. Michelle, thank you, and Carol, thank you.